What's up, desktopers? Xavier Wills here for Desktop Bodybuilding, and I'm back with another live video today. And today we have some 4K footage from the 2022 Arnold Classic UK. Going to give a shout out to the guy who did it as well. I've got his name up here as well. It's Victor Kohlberg. He was actually he's sort of like, I don't want to compare different brands, but there's some guys doing it in the US with 4K footage of individual competitors, and you see these videos going up and they look absolutely outrageous. And it's so cool to see that super crisp video quality, and he's doing that, and he's doing a fantastic job. So we've got some footage from him, I believe it is. Now, I don't know if this has been sent out to through other people and stuff, because it was only a 15 megabyte video and it's about 2 minutes, which is pretty small. So it's not, I don't think it's quite the crisp quality of like 4K, but I believe it was shot in 4K. And it's the best footage we've got so far of the 2022 Arnold Classic UK, because let's be honest, like, we was expecting a live stream. We did not get a live stream, but we did at least get some footage from this guy who's pretty much been a savior in this contest in terms of actual coverage. So let's kick it off. I'm going to go pose by pose, and you guys can let me know actually how this adds up in the end, because I think it's pretty close between a few of these guys, because they're sort of trading poses. Now, Andrew Jack, obviously the winner. I did believe he was the winner. There was some areas where, you know, you can say that he loses poses and stuff, but I think he's just such an imposing figure. And, you know, there's certain shots like this front double bicep you can see now where, like, he wins it, and he wins it pretty handily. None of these guys are really challenging him on that front double, but there are shots from the back and from the side where he's challenged and even beaten, in my opinion. But let's get into it. Oh, sorry, guys. So Andrew Jack front double, he wins for me. So just say I'm giving him 4 points for that. Well, obviously bodybuilding judging works differently. You get 1 point, but just say we're adding it up and most points wins. You give him 4 points for that. Now, in second place in his front double bicep, it's sort of tough because none of these guys are super strong on that pose outside of Andrew Jack. But I think James Hollingshead has really improved his front double. I think he has a slight angle on this pose. I think he's slightly forward of some of these other guys, so he looks absolutely huge, but that might just be that he was actually a lot bigger. Martin Fitzwater, I thought he brought a better front double bicep at this contest than he did at the last one, just because I think it was his softest pose in terms of conditioning. But I think he improved it in this contest. But he was I think he was varying a little bit. Nathan Dash even said it a little bit as well. He said maybe Martin faded a little bit in some spots. I don't know if it was a prejudging or finals or what it was. I think it might have been the finals that he was talking about. And yeah, it was sort of interesting there. And I'm also going to probably highlight the scorecards as well, if I can pull them up while I'm talking to you guys, because there was an error on the scorecard basically. So I do want to get into that. But front double bicep, I'd say probably Andrew first. I mean, Patrick Johnson, it's tough because he's really conditioned. He does have some good biceps. You might even say him in second, then James Hollingshead in third, and then maybe Martin Fitzwater in fourth, because that's probably Martin's weakest pose there. Let's go through it. We'll turn the volume down. So we move into that front lat spread. Now pause there. So Andrew Jack on this one, he actually leaned back further than he did at the Texas Pro, and it hurts him, because like if he was actually leaning forward, like push his butt back, he's got the huge quads. If he can make himself look bigger across the shoulders and make his waist look even smaller, this could be such a dominant pose that you just wouldn't even look twice. You'd be like, Andrew Jack's win the whole way. But he leaves it a little bit open because of the way he's actually hitting that pose. But he's only competed, what, like 5 times, 4 times, something like that. Got some questions up here. Thanks, guys, for getting in the comments. Leave your questions there. I'll try to get to them. If you do want to do a super chat as well, it means basically 100% guaranteed I will answer that question, and your question goes to the top as well. So if you do want to do that. But sorry, I've lost the video, guys. So this front lat spread, you got to say, like, I think Martin Fitzwater improved this pose over any other pose from the last contest, because I think that with the tighter waist and midsection, I think it just looked really good. But there was some stages where I think he went a little bit flatter, where it didn't quite look as crisp as it looks here. So I think Martin looks great there. In terms of structure, I think, you know, he matches up with anyone there, honestly, like even Andrew Jack, because of the way he's hitting that pose. So I'd probably say in second place in this one. I mean, it's so tough because James Hollingshead, this pose looks pretty good on him because his quads look so much bigger than they normally look. It's really tough. Honestly, I don't know how I'd place this front lat spread. Let me know in the comments right now. Do you think that James won it on the far left? I'd say his conditioning is good, maybe not quite as crisp and as dry as Patrick Johnson, but I mean, it's tough. Oh, Arnold spelled incorrectly on the ticker. Thank you. I appreciate that. I was doing that in a mad rush, so I'll definitely fix that while we're talking about it, which is the little thing across the bottom. I've got the Anrolled right now, the Anrolled Classic. I mean, you couldn't mess up the Arnold Classic UK any more than it actually was. So, the front lat spread. What are people saying? Patrick gets the side shots. I have Martin in this pose. I think pop some of these up on screens. I have Martin in this pose from Rodney. Zave, I love James' thickness. Yep, he definitely is thick. I love the look too as well. I think he looked really, really good. James gets to back shots. Yeah, I think James and Martin were battling those back shots. Here we go. Got Sam Jessup says Andrew first, James second, Martin third. James' chest looks tighter than Martin. So yeah, it's interesting, how Patrick Johnson fits into this, because we had guys like Samson Dowder and Nathan Diasha both saying they had Patrick Johnson winning after prejudging. I don't know what they said after finals, but I think actually Nathan said he had Patrick winning after finals too. So it's pretty crazy. So says James is killing them at the moment. So yeah, I think James has a slight angle on that. I don't know if he's standing slightly forward, because I think Martin's right back on the line. But I'm not too sure. Or James maybe is just that huge. I don't know. But let's go through it a little bit more. So we move from there. That pose, honestly, I can't really judge it. I think Martin's probably maybe winning it. Maybe James, maybe toss up between those two, but also Patrick Johnson's dry, and Andrew Jack has such an imposing figure. So you could say Andrew Jack, honestly, on that front lat. So here we are, side chest. This one is really, really tough. Now, Patrick Johnson, I've got to sort of take what people have said, like Nathan Diasha and Samson Dowder, into account, and that he's just better in person. So maybe you can say Patrick Johnson wins this side chest. He's got a good side leg where it looks really, really dry, and that's probably something that stands out when you're there in person. Here we go. Some people saying Patrick's legs are effing insane. Yeah, they sure are, definitely. Side leg is just very, very tight. Pretty much all these guys have a pretty decent side leg. I'd say Andrew's side leg is definitely the softest. I've seen James' side leg better before, when he's been crisper, but overall, was it a better look being fuller? It's an interesting question. So I appreciate all you guys getting in the live too. If you can share this out too on your Instagrams and all that sort of stuff, I'll reshare it on the desktop bodybuilding one. Just tag me in. So it's much appreciated, all the support and all the love. And if you do want to definitely get your question answered and your what comment or question or whatever highlighted, do a super chat, even if it's like $1 you put in there. I'll feature you and pop you up there and mention your name and stuff, because all the support is much appreciated. But this side chest, I would say Patrick is winning it. I really like Martin's side chest in terms of like that separation between quad and the hamstring, and his glutes are in. Like, it's not the best angle for him here. I think being off to the side is definitely a disadvantage. So I think Martin and James are at a slight disadvantage in that way, because Patrick and I think Andrew have better lighting there in the middle. So lots of comments coming in. Appreciate it, guys. Keep them coming. Keep questions coming, and I'll highlight a few of them as well. I'll try to go back at the end. So so Patrick, I would say probably James or Martin, 50-50 there, and then probably Andrew, because the side leg is mad impressive. He crunches his pose up a bit too much. Yes, he is imposing and he is big, but I would say probably Andrew is fourth on the side chest, which sort of surprised me even just looking at it initially, because they all are pretty close, got to be honest. So as I go through this one, and we've got to remember, guys, Andrew is in his like 5th show ever, which is absolutely insane. So back double, let's see. So Andrew actually, like, you got to look at the structure there. That structure is so imposing when he first hits it. He really, regardless of conditioning, he grabs your eye. But then you see James and Martin. Martin's just not quite hitting at 100% there, like in terms of pulling back. But you can see the glutes are there, the hamstrings are there. James has some glute detail. Patrick in the leg department from the back, very impressive, like sliced and diced hamstrings like crazy. And Andrew Jack, really, like, you look at the hams and the glutes, I mean, was he better or worse than the Texas Pro? Because I've heard some people say better. I think Nick Trigilli said he was slightly better in that area. I mean, he's got glutes. They're there, but they're just not crisp. Now, if he can bring that in crisp for the Olympia, it's going to be dangerous for anyone, because he's a lot taller than a big Rami. He's taller than all the guys, really. So, yeah, he's going to be super, super dangerous at the Olympia if he can put it all together. maybe Andrew wasn't 100% here because, or 90% or whatever percentage up from what he said he might be going into his contest, because he wasn't sure because he had that visa issue. So maybe he was taking the foot off a little bit, because it's like, why push your body so hard when you got the Olympia coming up, you know? And I mean, what he did was smart, because look, he won this contest and he didn't have to get ultra inside out peeled, you know, from the glutes and stuff. So, but on this pose, I mean, James Hollingshead is very impressive. I'd give it to James. In second, I mean, this is tough. I'd probably give this one in second to Martin. I think his back's just too good. I think it's better than Patrick's, but Patrick looks pretty damn good, so I'd probably give him third. Then Andrew Jack fourth again. But when you see him moving, you sort of are always drawn to Andrew Jack. So it's a weird thing. There might be some lineups that Andrew would come up against where he sort of gets exposed. I'm not sure what those lineups would be, but he just sort of stands out. I hate the way Andrew Jack takes his fingers here. That's one thing he can definitely fix. I don't know if he fixed it at the end of his pose or not. So Martin here, I think his back lat spread is very, very impressive. I think in some of the other photos, I'll pull up some photos afterwards as well, but I just posted up on the Desktop Bodybuilding Instagram page. But yeah, I think Patrick falls down from the back in his back lat spread especially. So I'd probably say Martin. Andrew has such a structure there. Oh, like it depends if what you want. You want structure and shape. I mean, Martin, nothing wrong with his structure and shape there. Just his structure isn't as big. But look how wide Martin is across the shoulders. Look at that rib delt development. Look at the hamstrings are etched out. The glutes are there. You know, they're developed. They're more developed than Andrew's glutes even, and they're much leaner. So I've got to say that Patrick is fourth in this one for me. I'd probably say second James and then third Andrew. But at the same time, I'm still like, I have Andrew winning this contest. Oh, we have a super chat. Let's highlight. Menez, Andrew has no hamstrings compared to these guys. I mean, yeah, he really doesn't, you know, but at the same time, I still have him winning the show. So same old G says James wins this pose. You can definitely make a case for it for sure. Andrew Jack needs major work on his posing. Yeah, I mean, major. I mean, for his fifth show, I think he's still pretty decent at posing, but yeah, he does need work on it. There are some simple things that would improve his physique even more, which is scary, because if he can improve that conditioning and also, you know, pose a lot better, he's going to be super dangerous. All right, let's play through a bit more of this video. Let me know who you have winning that pose. Okay, we're moving to a side tricep now. So we'll pause it there. So that's the traditional side tricep. And we know for Andrew Jack that he moves into that sort of front one where he looks crazy. So he looks a little bit uncomfortable there, but it's not too bad. Yeah, overall, I think Andrew looks pretty damn good there. He's not ultra sliced, especially in the legs, which obviously, you know, he's got quite long legs, so it takes up a fair bit of that pose for him. So I don't know how much you mark him down for not being inside out there. I suppose it's a up to you sort of thing, I guess. Martin Fitzwater looks very, very good on the far right. I think he looks fantastic there. His abs sort of bulge. It's not like he's got distension coming out. Triceps look really good. Shoulders look crazy. I think it looks very, very good there as well. Yeah, whoa, lots of comments coming in. This is awesome, guys. Here we go. Yeah, right. 825 says Martin hitting it like Dorian Yates. Yeah, I like that style. I think it's cool. If you can pull it off, do it, because I think it looks cool. But I've got to be honest, a lot of these guys look really good in this pose. Like, we'll go over to the left in James Hollingshead. Look at him. Like, his tricep looks fantastic. Like, I'm so impressed by that side tricep. If his legs from the side were a little bit more crisp, I mean, they're crisp, but if they were a little bit more, then I think that would be, you know, sort of lights out James Hollingshead just about. But I still look at Martin and I'm like, wow, that's impressive. It's just like size-wise, okay. Like, I mean, size-wise, he sort of looks similar to Patrick Johnson. It's not that crazy different. He's just maybe a tiny bit shorter, but it might be the angle of this video too, because this video is definitely done on an angle. So not too sure. I think it makes him look a little bit smaller, to be honest, but let me know what you think in the comments. You know, Patrick Johnson, like, he's so shredded, and that leg from the side, how does that look in person? It might look so much crazier. I'm not too sure. And pleasure, man. No worries at all. Here we go. Do you think Jamie the Giant should have placed higher? I mean, you can make a case for him in fifth. It's hard to tell the level of conditioning when we're seeing these iPhone videos and iPhone photos, because sometimes it adds a level of graininess to some of these guys, which favors certain guys on iPhone videos, unless it's really, really, really up close. Because you see some of those iPhone videos and it looks super grainy. It's like the old school British Grand Prix footage, where you got like Flex Wheeler and all those guys. It's sort of grainier footage, so I think it makes them look even more conditioned. Where's Andrew's ham drop? I mean, he's got a little bit there. I mean, Patrick Johnson isn't. I mean, he's got that separation. I mean, Martin's and James really have the best hamstring drop, I guess you'd say, but Patrick's is super sliced. So how you judge those legs? I mean, Martin's were inside out, and it doesn't look it in this particularly. So Patrick's must just be like that grainy craziness in person. So I think that's how he sort of got that. Yeah, so good point here as well. Justice Salazar says he's contracting it. So Patrick Johnson, I think he is contracting that hamstring. I think James and Martin are more letting that hamstring. They're not flexing up on the hamstring. They're trying to flex on the glute and not the hammy. So they're letting the hamstring hang a bit more. When you flex it up, it can look a bit tighter. So sometimes it looks better to flex it up, and sometimes it looks better just to let it hang. So, I mean, I don't know what Patrick's looks like if he just lets it hang more, but it looks pretty impressive regardless. Lots of comments. Really appreciate you guys. I'll get to some more of those later. But let's move through a few more of these poses. So from the side tricep, we're going to go into the from ego, the ab and thigh, I believe it is, which we know this is a knockout pose for Andrew Jacked. This is like the front double bicep him, because he's got great quads and he's just so symmetrical there. Trying to pause when we're all doing it. Here we go. So that is absolutely crazy. Just the structure of a midsection. He looks like his physique looks like some sort of like aesthetic robot. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. Like, that midsection is awesome. I don't think we've seen one that looks really like that before. And I think it looks cool. His chest flows well with it. His lats flow well. His quads are really big for a tall guy with long legs. Like, I think he wins that pose of Mr. Olympia. If he's in the same condition, he wins that pose of Mr. Olympia. I'm trying to think who would beat him. Brandon Curry wouldn't, because he hasn't got the quads. Big Ramy wouldn't. He just hasn't got the abs, and that pose just isn't a good one for him. I don't think Hardy Chupin would, although he has the super sliced like serratus and intercostals and all that sort of stuff. So maybe he could challenge, but I think Andrew Jack takes that one out. No, Nick Walker, he's not beating him on that. No one, I can't think of anyone else. William Bonac isn't. He's winning that shot by Mr. Olympia. So Andrew Jack on that one, hands down. I'd say probably Patrick Johnson in second. He's super sliced. The quads are crazy. The abs look good there. So I'd say give Patrick his props there. And then the third, I'd say Martin Fitzwater on this one. I think his abs are just too bubbly. I think pause back, looks, there we go. He's tightened it up a bit there. He wasn't quite tight into that pose properly just before. I mean, I'd say James in fourth, but it's a pretty close one. Now we move into most muscular, where they hit about 50 different most muscular. So it's hard to sort of judge it perfectly, but you can see a few different ones there. You can see James looking pretty damn good. I'll come back a little bit more so we can see some of those. So Martin's crab looks pretty damn good there, I think. I know Nathan Dasher, he's not a big fan of a crab in general, and he said he doesn't like it on Martin, but I think it looks pretty good. Like, once he even gets bigger, like add some more size to this overall, like with that shape, that most muscular is going to be absolutely crazy. So Martin's copped a lot in this show, I think, because he's just slightly smaller than he was in Texas, like slightly flatter look, but he was more conditioned. So you got to give the dude his credit. And no one else is hitting most muscular at that time. Let's have a look. So Andrew Jacked hits that one for a second. Pretty damn impressive. James has the hands on hips one there. That's a great shot for him. I'd love to see James just like that 1% crisper, 1 to 2%, just a little bit more. And I think, he'd still be able to maintain a pretty decent amount of fullness. So I'd love to see it. Let's see Patrick Johnson's hits that one. Then he hits that. And Patrick Johnson goes into the crab, where he looks super shredded there. So these guys came forward a long way. Yeah. But I think, Martin will learn from this as well. And I think he's just only going to get better. So, yeah. So shout out. Okay. I'm going to give a shout out to who did this footage. I'll stop this screen share here. I want to give a shout out to who did the footage, and I'll show up his Instagram page as well. And I want to show a few photos on the Desktop Bodybuilding Instagram to give a different perspective on the, I suppose, the comparison with like different photos and stuff. So let's share out this screen. Sorry, I'm still getting used to this a little bit. So I'm going to be sharing. This one. So this is the dude who did this footage, I believe. He's done some awesome footage of these competitors. Like, it's that crisp, like 4K quality. You got Jamie Christian here, who I've got to give him a shout out. Like, he came in way better than at that last show. He just needed that bit more crispness to his physique. I think he still needs a little bit more. And had he had a little bit more with this, even close to this level of fullness, he's dangerous. Like, I think he would have, this package would have won shows earlier in this year. But I just think he needs a bit more through here. Bit more detail here as well. So I think it was probably a fair decision that Mark Hector got above him in the end. But he's got some great photos here as well. So go give this guy a like. So you'll be seeing, you know, he's going to be making several appearances and stuff. So you can see here through with James, like just through the chest and the shoulders, I would like to see that a bit more detail, just that a little bit more. And I think, you know, James is going to be just crazy dangerous. He's got a great physique. Mark Hector, I think you can see in this close-up photo too. You can see where he lacked in conditioning. Is it water? Did he just fill up too much and just held fluid, or what was it? Or was it, you know, just the fact that he's under these bright lights and it looks different under bright lights? And I think that's where he sort of, you know, put himself out of a running of that top 4. But I mean, he added a lot of muscle, and he's going to be dangerous for years to come. No doubt about that. Martin here, you can see, you know, he probably is lacking that bit of fullness he had through the chest in Texas. When I looked at some photos, there's some comparisons online, he did lack a little bit more of that fullness. You can see Jamie here, if that was just a little bit sharper. He's got the great conditioning through the quads, just up a little bit more up through here. He's going to be crazy. And there's Kuba as well, who did the open because he basically missed weight in the classic, which was one of 3 guys. And go check out my last bodybuilding news video. It is this one here. Hopefully you guys can see that and switch between the screens. It's basically it's a really good one. It talks about that another amateur guy as well. Basically, he measured in with the same promoters. It was 2 weeks later. I think he just did a regional when he's doing that show as his big show. And his height was like, it was almost a foot difference. I think it was 3 inches off being a foot different to the week before or something. So he basically made a comment about that. So he's like had to be 4 kilos lighter or something. And yeah, it's pretty crazy. Go and check that video out anyway and see for yourself. So Kuba was one of those guys. Then, what's this dude's name? Oh, I wish he was tagged. So now I feel bad. He's really, really good though. Always comes in shape, and I think he's just going to get better and better. Max Charles, we haven't even talked about Max Charles. He really wasn't a factor in this show. Like, you can just see the details, not that deep detail he needs through the legs just isn't there. He has some good shots, but when he turns to the back two, he's still sort of not where he needs to be. And then you got Patrick Johnson here as well. So Patrick Johnson, you can see obviously he's just got a lot of that granite hard-earned muscle in his physique. You can tell that's from just several years of hard training. I guess I'd have to be there to really judge it. I didn't see him as being second, but the people that were there, some people had him winning. So obviously being there is just a totally different story. And I've seen those physiques in person before too. William Bonac's one of them and Branch Warren's another. You see him in photos and you can pull them apart and criticize their physiques. You see him in person and you go like, wow, your eyes are drawn to them. And you can't even explain exactly why. Got another look here at Patrick Johnson, who obviously plays second. And there's going to be a rematch next week. You can see he's got a lot of muscle. You can sort of see it a bit more in this video, but yeah, he's got a lot of muscle on his physique. And it's cool they gave him the opportunity too, because a lot of the time, you know, when guys are sort of, you can see it when it's moving a lot better. Like, look at that, the glute and hamstring, that side quad. Yeah. See, that just draws when I'm looking at this, my eyes are drawn to that. So even if his upper body, there might be something that's lacking or something, or there's something that's not quite on. Yeah, you look at that. Look at that conditioning. The judges obviously wanted conditioning. Yeah. Okay, so the more I see this guy pose in this 4K close-up footage, you just go, wow. Like, that's crazy. That is hard and conditioned, but he's got a sort of a weird muscle. He's got a different skin texture, like he's maybe had like stretch marks or something. S.O. Bate actually had that as well, or S.O. Obiad, or however you pronounce his last name. But yeah, shout out to Patrick Johnson. After seeing this video, you're like, yeah, wow, this dude is pretty much crazy impressive. It's just we didn't get much good footage and photos and stuff pretty much until now. Credit to this guy. So yeah, some great footage here. You can see obviously all dudes. You got obviously Martin, our boy. And you actually see a lot better on this video, you know, what's actually happening with his physique. We'll wait till he turns around to the back, and then I'll take a few of your guys' questions, and then I'll wrap this thing up. Also, I just want to make sure there's no super chats here. If there was a super chat and I missed it, let me know. Oh, sorry, we have to go back to the start with Martin's. But now I know a lot of people will say, oh, you know, you're obviously favoring Martin because he's on my podcast. But honestly, like I was a big fan of Martin. That's part of the reason why I reached out to him to be on the podcast, because I think he's just got crazy potential. And he's sort of realizing the potential too. Like he could have won many shows this year, but he just picked the tough lineups. So he's not sitting on his glutes there. And some people were making comments about his presence on stage in terms of smiling and all that sort of stuff. And we talked about that on one of the wrap-ups, Chris Cormier. And I think it makes a difference. If he walked out, nodding his head, smiling, and then he hits his shots really hard, a little bit less shaking in it if he could, then I think it makes a big difference, honestly. But he looks fantastic. I mean, it shouldn't be the difference between him, you know, really making a huge difference in placings, but, you know, it sort of does. You see there, when I actually looked at the before and afters as well, his legs were definitely bigger here. He's a little bit flatter on the top, but his legs were way better. And look at that. That's impressive. And the fact that some people are giving this guy crap about how he looked, I'm like, he looked crazy, as did all these other guys as well. Obviously, Andrew Jacked. Dude's crazy. Those green posing trunks just go perfect for him too. Crazy physique. Anyway, I want to give you guys a shout out as well. I've hit over 40,000 subscribers. You can see it's updating before my eyes. 40,017. So let's see if we can get that up a little bit before the end of the show. If you're not subscribed, subscribe now. Just click that. It really does help the channel out, and you guys commenting and doing all that sort of stuff helps out a ton as well. So I'll get into a few of your questions, and then I'll wrap this video up. We've got over 200 people watching live as we speak, so that's awesome. This is Mike Debenham, so he's actually an IFB pro. I think Mike's retired now, but I don't want to say that for sure. He says 10, 15 pounds, Martin's effing dangerous. Couldn't agree more. Even, yeah, just 10 quality pounds and just holding more of that mass on his physique longer, Martin's going to be scary. Now, he should 212. So I think he's saying he should do 212. Martin is not close to 212. I know what Martin weighs for a fact, and it's not 212. Here we go. Wait, what? Xavier, once again, what's your say on Brandon Curry this year? Now, Brandon Curry has gone to, people aren't really talking about it because he's not putting out updates, but Brandon Curry went to Kuwait a lot earlier than he did for last year's Olympia, and a lot earlier than he did for the actual Arnold Classic that he just did. So he did a very short prep for the Arnold Classic, and he told me he normally goes out to Kuwait and looks like crap. And everyone's like, oh, are you sure you're going to be able to get this together? Like, and then he's like, you'll see. In 4 weeks, he sort of blows right up and gets huge. But I think he's gone out there in a better spot in terms of the way he looks. He's committed. Like, he won that Arnold Classic, and he wants to have a year where he wins the Arnold and the Olympia again, and to become the only man to ever do that twice. So Brandon Curry is a man on a mission. I cannot wait to see what he looks like. He's a good dude. So I'll actually try to get him on for an interview soon, because I know that people love to hear from him. Oops. Comments moving around everywhere. Martin just needs more size from Rogue Silver. Yeah, I mean, yeah, more size. I mean, that's something he's going to need to add, obviously, to his physique. Xavier beats Andrew Jacked. Thank you. don't know what in, but and Big Ramy. Nice. I like this guy. Same old G. Spicy turp. I think the 212 thing is a troll now because of Brett yesterday. Oh yeah. Brett obviously said like, I can't even remember what Brett said now. Actually, when you do these yourself, you sort of forget. And I'm like sort of going around the comments and reading stuff and trying to do stuff at the same time. This is from Chad Antoine. I haven't even read this one. Regardless of his potential, his attitude is shit. Okay, he will never go far until he checks his ego at the door. So I'm assuming you're talking about Martin. Now, Martin is a confidence guy. I'm not going to say like I don't think he has a shit attitude. I think that he's actually got a good attitude. Like he is very committed. He's all in. It's obviously like when a guy like that doesn't do well or something happens, like it's going to shatter them more than someone who's like, very casually into it. He wears his heart on his sleeve. So this is probably going to affect him, but I assume that he's going to go away. He'll chill out. He'll come back better. I just think he will. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. Xavier, 2023 Mr. O for sure. Word. I'm down. Great job from Andrew Ellis. Great job on covering the Arnold UK. You kept us informed on what was happening. Thank you so much. I love doing this sort of stuff. Thoughts on Blessings placing this year's Olympia, Xavier? I've got to be honest, it's outside the top 15 based on who's going to be there. There is a lot of good names in this year's Mr. Olympia, so I don't want to say Blessing can't make top 15, but that should be his goal. Top 15, I think, would be a win, which sounds harsh, but there are so many. You look at the top 10, it's going to be insane. Top 15 is going to be pretty damn good. Yes, don't forget to review scorecard. Martin and James had same for finals. So let's do that. So I believe I can go to ifbbpro.com. I'll do this while in the background so you guys don't have to look at me loading pages and stuff like that. But yeah, the scorecards are very interesting because they do not add up. So there is a mistake on the scorecard unless there is some explanation for it, which there should be, but I'm trying to think. Here we go. Let's see if it's been corrected. So it has not. So let's go through it. Okay, I've got to bring this up for you guys. Let's have a look at these scorecards. Here we go. So there's the scorecards. You guys should be able to see it there. And okay, so we can go through some of the other placings outside the top 5. So 5th was obviously Mark Hector. 6th was Jamie Johol, which was interesting. He had straight 6. Like it was pretty much everyone had straight results apart from one thing in there. Oh no, 27 here for Kuba. So I think there's maybe one judge switched between some of them maybe. Actually, no, that does add up. Never mind. So in first, obviously, all those guys. 6th, then 7th, we had Vlad Alfred Chirac. That was the guy I was talking about before, who always comes in really shredded. 8th, we had Max Charles. 9th, we had, where is 9th? 9th, we had Kuba. 10th, we had Rob Cannon. 11th, we had Claudio Sergio. And then 12th, we had Josh Malley. So some of those guys we didn't even touch on because we didn't really have the footage of them. So, but here is where things are different. So you look down this column, right? The only difference is between this column and this column is this score here. So you got a 9 here for James Hollingshead in the pre-judging, which the lower score obviously wins. So that means basically every judge had him in 3rd place after pre-judging. And Martin Fitzwater was on 12 points, which means every judge would have had him in 4th place. Then you go to finals, and Martin Fitzwater and James Hollingshead tie, both on 12 points. But you look at all the other scores, apart from here, actually, I'm just saying this is 1 point different. But I don't think any of them are different at all. So that's confusing because that's 11th place as well. So I don't know what's actually happening here. So that it doesn't add up. The pre-judging, all these tallied up, should add up to the exact same amount that's here. Unless there's some sort of tie, which it doesn't appear is even close to being a tie. So I don't know if this means that James Hollingshead, this 12 should have been a 9, or if Martin's 12 should have been a 9, or what the go is, or if there's just there is definitely some sort of mistake between prejudging and finals. So hopefully there's some sort of resolution to this and it doesn't just go swept under the rug. So I'd like to find out what actually went down, and is this just an error? Was that meant to be a 9 and the judging was all good, or was Martin's meant to be a 9 and they had a tie? I'd love to actually see it. So yeah, that's the only difference. So basically, James Hollingshead beat Martin Fitzwater by 3 points on the scorecard, but was it a tie or was it 6 points? Because I assume that's one of the outcomes of where the mistake actually came from. So let me know what you think in the comments below about that, because it's pretty interesting. There's a few people having comments in here and having conversations amongst themselves. Samson, Neo Sand King, he said, yep, Samson thought Patrick should win. Yep, he did. We got Swag King, 40k subs. Nice, thank you so much. Appreciate the love. I want to change that thing so it actually has people's photos come up when I actually do that. I think I can do that live while we're actually doing it. Let's see if we can change that, because I do not enjoy I think I change it to like minimal or simple or something. Let's see if this changes back. I feature some of your comments on here. Here we go. Yep, that's good. Samson is the best guy from UK since Luke. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's tough because Nathan Diash is a 7th placed Mr. Olympia guy as well. So, yeah. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for this one. I'm going to wrap up this video. Hope you enjoyed this live. If you do enjoy this content, make sure you share it out, get in the comments and all that sort of stuff. So I keep doing these live videos and getting you guys in the comments and all that sort of stuff. And like I said, if you always do want your comment featured at the top, and I'll feature it on the show, whether it's just a comment on the show or it's a question for me or anything like that, just do a super chat and I'll get you in there. I'm also going to do channel memberships too. So you can, when you get in these chats, you can have like exclusive emojis, or you have something on there as well that basically shows that you're a supporter of the channel and you're putting your money where your mouth is and supporting channels like mine. So thank you guys so much for all the support. Love reading comments. I pretty much see most of them, but I do miss over a few while I'm doing this show. But anyway, guys, that's it for this one. If you like and appreciate the content, give the video a thumbs up, smash that like button, also subscribe and hit the notification bell button. That way you'll be notified of every video that goes up for myself, Xavier Wills at Desktop Bodybuilding. Also, we got a few more subscribers while the show was going as well. I went up to like another 3. So thank you guys so much. Anyway, that's it for me. This is Desktop Bodybuilding. I'm Xavier Wills and we are out.